Hi everybody, my name is Kayla, and today I'm going to show you how to make a wire wrapped ring. This is going to be a basic ring with a bead in it. Super fun, super easy. First thing that you're going to need is a ring mandrel. This is the plastic ring mandrel. It does have the groove in the back. I have heard some people say it's easier to use with the groove. To each their own. Play around, see what you like. That's the most important thing. The second thing that you're going to need is a mallet. This is a rubber tipped mallet. It's going to help straighten the band and make sure you don't have any kinks. It helps keeping the bands together, the wires together. Really useful tool. We of course need our cutters. I just have these basic ones, just some flush cutters. And then of course our just regular needle nose pliers. Any type of pliers are going to work. We just want to make sure they're smooth on the inside. If they do have the lines, the serrated type edges, it is going to mar the wire. So suggestion, just regular needle nose pliers, smooth on the inside. Now I do prefer to use zebra wire for my wire. I do use a 20 gauge wire. 22 is okay to use too. Pretty soft and bendable. It is nice for beginners. The zebra wire I have chosen today is the copper. I like this because it comes in every different color that you can pretty much think of. Nice wire, gives some fun and gives some variety. And then of course we need a bead. Today I have chosen an 8mm green cat's eye bead. Alright, I'm going to move the video down so you guys can see as I'm working on my tablet here. Okay, so when it comes to the wire, you are going to need approximately 18 inches. This is one of the things that you'll have to kind of play around with and see, take a feel for it. My suggestion when it comes to the wire is to go ahead and buy a cheaper wire first. Don't go out and spend a lot of money on a wire because you are going to make mistakes the first few times. It's super nice to take the bead and just cut it out of the wire, throw that old wire away if you make a mistake without having to worry about it being super expensive. So I've got my wire here, approximately, again, 18 inches, and we're just going to string the bead on. We want to find approximately the center of the bead, or of the wire. So I take the two ends in the one hand, and then I take the bead and I pull it tight. And what I'm doing down here is pinching the bead in between the wires. That's going to keep the bead from moving and falling off my wires as I'm working with it on the mandrel. It's a lot harder if you don't have this done. When it comes to finding the size, there's a trick to doing it with these mandrels. What you want to do, so we're going to make a size 8 ring. So the first thing is you put it on the size 8. You take the wire that's going around top and you wrap it around 2 times. Hold it tight and do the same to the bottom. Take it around and wrap it 2 times. That's going to give you 4 wires on the bottom, so it's going to be a thicker band but not overly thick. At your size 8, you pull these 2 top wires up and pull them fairly tight. Now the reason we do it, this next part, is to make sure that after you do your wire wrapping, your ring is going to fit. Because when you wrap around the wire on the band, it actually shrinks it just a little bit. So with the wires pulled tight, you have my hand going up and pulling tight, we're going to wiggle this ring to a size 9. So I'm pulling tight and wiggling up. At a size 9, it's guaranteed now to fit after I do my wire wrapping. You take each wire and you put them in opposite directions. This wire's on the top, so you keep it on the top and pull. This wire's on the bottom, you keep it on the bottom and pull. From here, I kind of wedge the mandrel in between my body and the edge of my computer, and this helps free my hands so I have room. At the same time, you want to take and wrap the wire, around the bead. You want to be sure to keep your wires at an equal distance apart and wrap around at the same time. So I've gone around 2 times. I keep my wire low against my mandrel so it doesn't crawl up my bead. I don't want it to crawl up, I want it to layer below. So as you can see, I don't have too much wire left. If you're a little bit more inexperienced, you may want to get a couple more inches just until you have a feel for it. So I'm going to wrap this around one more time. I'm going to end with 1 wire up and 1 wire down, and then take it off your mandrel. At this point, if you do have longer wire, you can trim it down so you have approximately 1.5 inches left on both sides. Put your finger in the ring and work with 1 wire first. We're going to take this wire and wrap it around the band. So just with my hands, I kind of curve the wire and put it through the center of the ring. Taking my needle nose pliers, I grab the end of the wire, pull it fairly tight, and then lift the ring up, or the wire up, towards me. Again, with my hands, I take it and I tuck it through the ring, take my pliers, and pull it up towards me. Now on this band, I have my wrap coming off from around my bead, and I've curled it twice. I'm going to curl it around one more time. So I have a nice amount of wraps going around the ring. Now I do have a little bit of a tail here, and for now I'm going to leave that. I'll show you how to get rid of that tail and make sure it's nice and smooth and not going to poke you once you're wearing it. Come around to the other side and do the same thing. Tuck the tail, stick it through the center of the ring, grab your pliers and pull it. You want to pull it tight, but you don't want to pull it super tight. You don't want a Hulk grip on your wire. You just want enough to make sure that it's not going to kind of wiggle around or be loose. And then I pull it back towards me. So again, I curve my wire, stick it through, grab my pliers, and pull it back towards me. With using your pliers on this, you're also sure to make sure it stays right up against the second wrap that you do, and it's not causing it to have a gap in between. Now I always go back to the other side and I make sure I have it coming off my bead and I have 3 wraps. So on this side I have it coming off my bead and I have 2 wraps. That way I know I need to wrap it one more time. It's very important that you want to have this symmetrical, and the same on the other side. Grab it with your pliers and wrap it up, pull it tight towards you. I now take my needle nose pliers and I actually very lightly kind of push down on the band and make sure the band is going to be flat and not curved. When you do this, it does actually kind of uncurl this loose wire. So that's why I didn't tie it off yet, because I want to make sure that I have a nice tight wrap completing around the band and not stopping halfway through. Now I take my flush cutters and I cut it right up against my wires. Do the same thing on the other side. Start at about the end of the band and just kind of lightly flatten the wires till you get up to where you had wrapped it. Make sure that's nice and tight, and then again trim it off. Since you had wrapped around the band, it's kind of a nice rolling technique. If you find you have too much, just cut again. So just take your pliers, put it on, and roll it. You don't want to squeeze down tight. You don't want it to mar the wire. Come down again, and with your pliers right up against that, you just want to be sure to push down, give it an extra squeeze. Run your finger over it and that is perfectly smooth. Can't even feel it. Do the same to the other side. Take your pliers and just roll it around. and then just on that one, a little pinch. Feel it again with your finger. Perfect. We want to put this ring back on our mandrel. This is going to give us the size to make sure. Remember, we started at an 8, we wiggled it to a 9, and it's just shy of an 8. Now this is where the hammer comes in handy. Lightly tap along the band. Doing this is going to make sure you get out all and any kinks. It's going to flatten the band and make it so that they're not separated. And then go sideways on it. You do this to push the bands together, and it also stretches the wire, and we're getting to my size 8 that I wanted. Take the ring off, turn it around, and put the ring back on, and do the same thing to the other side. This does not have to be hard. Kind of get a feel for it very lightly. If you feel this helps round it out, so if you feel it's not perfectly round, just give it a good hammer. Now before I had this mallet, I would actually use my pliers. I've got these nice rubber tips, so if you don't want to go out and buy a hammer or mallet until you know for sure that you're going to like this, just use your pliers. It's perfectly fine. It's going to give you the same effect, and you're going to save a good 12 bucks. Take the ring off, and you can see that it is pretty flat, pretty round. You can use your fingers, or you can use even the pliers to give it a slight push. Make sure it's going to be round. Very pretty ring. Nice green cat's eye bead on gorgeous copper wire. This ring will sure to get lots of attention. This ring will make a great gift, whether birthday, whether Christmas. I am on Facebook at facebook.com/snazzydeals, SHNASYDEALS. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. Snazzy Deals.